Hey everybody, this is Nick Pavlidis, and thank you so much for being here for another episode of Confessions of a Terrible Husband. I'm super excited about today's episode. We're kicking off something we don't do very often, which is 7 days in a row of podcasting, because I joined a challenge that's being delivered by the Ziglar family. And with me today, I have the CEO, the president and CEO of Ziglar family, Mark Timm. Mark was first and foremost and is first and foremost CEO of an even more valuable business, the most valuable business in the world, his own family. And his story connects with mine because he talks a lot about how he was really successful in business and then a little detached, let's just say, from his home life. So what he did is similar to what a lot of us can do but don't, is take those business principles and start applying them to be a leader, to be the leader that's needed at his house. He and his wife, Anne, are proud parents to 6 of the coolest kids on the planet, 3 boys and 3 girls. I have no idea how they do it, but Mark, I'm excited. I'm really super excited about you joining me today. So thank you so much.
I couldn't be any more excited myself, Nick. I love your enthusiasm. I love what you do. I love the genuineness and the honesty that you bring to your audience. And that was one of the reasons I was really excited. And to be truly honest, I need to let all of your listeners know that my wife and I not only have 6 kids, but they're all teenagers right now.
Ouch.
So we have 6 teenagers under one roof, and it can be, let's just say, every day is an adventure.
Yeah, I bet. So how did you go from corporate to Ziglar family? Obviously, there was quite a bit of time, I assume, but tell me a little bit about it.
2 decades of evolution. You know, I've been a serial entrepreneur my whole life. Actually, I started out in corporate America. I worked for USA Today. I worked for Kellogg's. I worked for a nonprofit. And then I became an entrepreneur in my mid-20s, mid to late 20s, and then was a serial entrepreneur since then. 10 businesses. I grew some businesses to be 8 figures. I sold businesses. I actually sold a business 8 years ago and bought it back a year ago. And so I've always been an entrepreneur, and I'm a good entrepreneur, and it makes sense to me. And I've managed hundreds of employees, and I found that I could make 100 decisions at work with confidence and clarity, and I couldn't make the first decision when I walked through the door of my home. And that always bothered me, and it just really didn't set right with me that I could be successful in one area of life, but I did not feel successful at home. And I felt like my family was paying the price for my lack of clarity and lack of confidence at home. So one day, I literally had the aha moment where I stop at the end of my driveway. My driveway is about 1/3 of a mile. I don't finish the drive because I don't want to. Like, I had such a great day that I knew as soon as I walked through the door, I was going to get hit with drama and with chaos and with messiness, and I just wasn't ready. And then it hit me. What if that happened to me when I was going to work? What if I got in the parking lot and I just never went in my office? You know, what would happen?
Sure.
And the reality is I said, wait a minute, I'm looking at this all wrong. Maybe the business that's most valuable, the most important business that I'll ever run, own, operate, or be a part of was the one I come home to, not the one I go to every day. And that's when everything changed. When I started looking at my family and applying the principles of success that I'd had in other areas of life and brought it home, everything changed. So it was 2 decades of learning how to become successful in business and then applying all of that to my family. And at that moment, everything changed for my family, for my wife, for me, and I haven't looked back since. And that's when I knew that ultimately I had to leave my world as an entrepreneur and do this full time and help families all over the world experience and connect with confidence and clarity the way that I did with my family.
Yeah, and it seems like just listening to some of your story and how you sold the business and bought it back a year ago, and now you're working here with Ziglar family, it almost seems like the mental shift of how can I treat my businesses more as an investment for my family rather than as, you know, the thing I do in order to provide for my family. Be collected with your family, with the business, as opposed to, you know, I'm going to work and then the money comes home, the family's taken care of, and seeing it as 2 separate sort of entities.
Yeah, well, and I got to be real candid with you. So I buy this business back after 8 years, and then I turned around the next day and sold it to my employees.
Wow.
Now, the 10-year-ago version of myself would have never done that. But the family focus that I have I wanted to buy the business back because a lot of people were going to lose their jobs. But then I turned around and actually sold it to the staff, and it's now an employee-owned company. I'm simply an investor in a business I started 20 years ago, sold it, bought it back, and now I'm just an investor. So that allows me to do what I want to do with families. But now I've got a whole bunch of families that are running a business that I started out of my garage. And Nick, it feels awesome.
That's great. That's fantastic. And I'm sure, you know, the dreams of business ownership that each of those people probably had one day were something they figured they would never be able to do. But then to have,
without a doubt, and the coolest part for me, now that I've got all these people coming to work every day thinking like me. Whereas I was always the entrepreneur owner and I had to think like an entrepreneur owner. Now I've got all this creative wisdom, and some of these are younger owners, they're millennials, and they just bring such energy and such creativity to the table. And some have been with me for 15, 20 years that are now owners, and it's so cool to see them be rewarded as well. So yeah, when your home life is good, you can really spread that to your work life. And, you know, so I tell people all the time, they already know everything they need to know to be successful at home if they're successful anywhere. And I got to tell you, when things are going well at home, it spills out into everything else you're doing as well.
So how did you get involved with Ziglar Family, and when did that all start?
So I ended up, Zig Ziglar was the first motivational speaker I heard when I was 15 years old. And it was like he was just talking to me. I mean, I loved it. It was powerful. It was awesome. I mean, he just poured into me, and I was so inspired by him. And I read his books, and he really was instrumental in me being a successful business guy. But I started, like I said, I started taking everything I knew that made me successful in business and bringing it home. So Zig Ziglar was one of the things I brought home because he inspired me in my work life, so why not bring him home? So I started sharing some of his timeless wisdom with my family, and then I started sharing what I was doing with my family on a blog, and the children of Zig Ziglar found my blog and actually contacted me and said, "We love what you're doing. Our father would love what you're doing." And the son of Zig Ziglar flew to Indianapolis, and we met, and I flew down to Dallas and met him, and we went back and forth. And Zig Ziglar always had a passion for family, and he wanted to extend his wisdom out to families, but corporate America just bought everything they could get of Zig Ziglar. I mean, he was booked constantly, and he would get done with a speech and say, "Wouldn't it be awesome if that 25,000 people was all families?" But families couldn't afford the ticket to get in to see that event. Now that technology has come around, we can take Mr. Ziglar's timeless wisdom and put it in the hearts and homes of families all over the world. And we don't have to charge hundreds of dollars to do it. We can charge a few dollars to do it, and we can deliver, you know, an unlimited, just vast resource to them. So we went back and forth, and they decided that they were grandparents and that they needed someone in the trenches. And so instead of partnering with me, they came back and said, "Why don't you run with this, Mark? Why don't you run with Ziglar Family?" So I am. That's why I'm the president and CEO, and they support me and they encourage me and they give me all the access to their father's work. But my wife and I and my family, we run Ziglar Family. And I can tell you, Nick, it's so awesome when you figure out what it is you've been put on this earth to do. And I figured that out. I have been put on this earth to help families be more, do more, so they can have more of everything they dreamed and envisioned for their family. And I'm doing that through Ziglar Family. And I know that's what I'm supposed to do. I was a good entrepreneur and a good businessman, but that was just my training ground for helping families all over the world.
Sure. And what I love about it is we'll play Ziglar YouTube videos and stuff for our kids. They know all about stinking thinking and
Neck up from the neck up.
Yeah, and attitudes of gratitude and all that stuff. And what I love about Ziglar Family is it is being run and it is being introduced in a way that is very consistent with what Ziglar taught and how he taught it. For example, you're starting out, you're launching with community and with free, and you're giving first. So I just signed up last week, not only to promote, but also to be a part of a free 7-day challenge that is not led by, here's a YouTube video by Zig. It is, here are the 7 parts of life and family that are most important. And here are 7 people, or I guess more on the last day, but here are 7 people, each of whom is the leader, a friend of Zig's or a relative of Zig's, and the leader in this area. They're coming together to help spread the word and to spread Zig's teachings and their teachings to everybody for free. For all, if you have an email address, in 10 minutes a day, you can improve your family in 7 days.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't have said it better myself. And where the idea came from is Zig impacted 250 million people while he was alive. 250 million people. How did he do that? He did that under one philosophy: to get what you want out of life, just help enough other people get what they want out of life. So that is the very philosophy that we're bringing to Ziglar Family. In order to make this happen, we've got to help families get what they want out of life. And then the cool part is, of those 250 million people, there are some incredibly amazing people that look back and say, Zig Ziglar is where I got my inspiration. Zig Ziglar inspired me to be, do, and have more, and I want to give back. So rather than just throw up for 7 days Zig Ziglar videos, we went out and said, we're going to base this 7-day challenge, the 7-day family challenge is what we're talking about, on 7 spokes of a wheel that Mr. Ziglar talked about, the wheel of life. And then we're going to go find the expert in these 7 areas. So, for example, in relationships, we got Dr. Gary Chapman. I can't think of somebody who is more qualified to talk about relationships than the guy who wrote the 5 Love Languages and a bunch of other books, and it sold millions and millions of copies. And the guy said, absolutely, for Zig Ziglar, in a heartbeat. And then we went on from there to one of his good friends was Dave Ramsey. I can't think of a better person to talk about financial than Dave Ramsey. And they were friends. And Dave Ramsey said, for Zig Ziglar? Are you kidding me? I'm all in. And so, and he quotes Zig Ziglar in his challenge and talks about how Zig Ziglar inspired him. And so we did that in every category. And of course, the last day is his own children. So Tom, Julie, and Cindy bring the challenge for the last day to talk about the spiritual spoke on the wheel. And so we brought these people together, not because we wanted to share the stage, but because we wanted to share the knowledge with families and not say, hey, Mr. Zig Ziglar is the only place, because he never believed that. Mm-hmm. He believed that you should get it wherever you can get it. And he helped a lot of people get their start, because remember, you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. Yeah. And what he wanted was to impact lives all over the world, and he did that by impacting other people. So we're using that same philosophy. We're giving away the 7-day family challenge for absolutely free. There's no cost. There'll be no cost afterwards. So there's absolutely no cost to the 7-day challenge. And then once they're plugged into the 7-day challenge, hopefully they'll have a week of wins. That's 7 wins. Now, Nick, I don't know if you're into sports, but if you win 7 times in a row, what do they call that? That's a winning streak.
Yes, sir.
Okay? That's a winning streak. We want families to experience a winning streak, because families don't get very many winning streaks these days. If they can win 7 days in a row, 7 days in a row with 7 challenges, our hope is they'll want to keep winning, that they'll develop a habit of winning, that they'll want to keep winning, and they'll start winning in big ways with their family, with their kids, with their spouses, and they'll just keep that winning streak alive after the 7-day challenge.
Yeah, and I want to mention the link, so that way if people are ready to sign up, or if they're paused so they can sign up for this challenge, I'm taking it along with you once a day. And if you come back here to iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify or iHeartRadio, wherever you're listening, or to terriblehusband.com, you can take it along with me, get my reaction to it. If you just go to terriblehusband.com/Ziglar challenge, that's Ziglar challenge, that is a link to send you, no matter what day it is, if whatever day you're listening to this, even if it's after the challenge has ended, you'll be able to take that free challenge. 7 days straight, 10 minutes a day, just an email address. It'll get sent right to you. So head on over to terriblehusband.com/Ziglar challenge after you're done here today and sign up. And one of the things, the day we're recording this today, Monday, March 27th. It's going live. The first day of the challenge is here. I had a sneak peek as someone who's helping promote the challenge, and I watched the video to day one with my 7-year-old son Pavlos, who he and I podcast together, and I sent Mark a link to the rough cut of the episode that we recorded afterwards, reacting to it. We recorded an episode of his podcast with it. And after just one video, and I'll tell you, one video he was watching, but he was snacking. He got up and went and got some snacks, came back, and he's watching. And Gary Chapman is just such a great speaker, such a genuine speaker. Super easy video to watch. After watching one video and me talking to him about the 5 love languages and how to recognize the things that he was challenging us to recognize, my 7-year-old nailed on the first try his and his sister's love languages within the context of what Dr. Chapman was teaching. So if you are concerned that this will be too complicated or too much or it's too heavy for a busy life, really, I mean, it's something a second grader could nail in the first try. So
well, I love what you just said, because it's absolutely accurate. I mean, and the sooner we learn their love languages, Nick, I mean, we think we're loving our kids, but if we're not speaking their language, then we're showering them with love, and it's going into the wrong place. Their emotional love tank is empty. Mm-hmm. And if a child's emotional love tank is empty, they make bad decisions, and they don't look at themselves the right way. And then they become teenagers, and they go looking for love in all the wrong places. And so that's the kind of challenge that we're talking about, is a challenge that says, let's learn our family's love language. Let's learn our spouse's love language. Let's learn our kids' love language. These are challenges that every family can and needs to do if they want to be, do, and have more. And I love your story. I love the fact you're a 7-year-old. You won't mess up. You won't make a mistake in how he's loved again.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about Ziglar Family beyond the 7-day challenge, because one of the things that I love about how the 7-day challenge is presented is that it's not Zig's teachings, even though that they're great. I mean, but that really hit me, because 20 years ago, you look at any of the 7 people or 10 people who are presenting the challenges and the experts there, they weren't. Dave Ramsey was just getting started 20 years ago. Dr. Chapman was just getting started 20 years ago. Tony Dungy was just getting started. Michael and Gail Hyatt were just getting started. They weren't who they are today in the spotlight, except, and they may not have been if not for the community that Zig led, was a part of, however you want to describe it. But there's that community that Zig was a part of, created so many brilliant minds, so many people who are helping so many others. And you're working that similar concept behind that 7-day challenge, or beyond the 7-day challenge with Ziglar Family, with a community involvement. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. The reality is this, okay? We were not put on this earth to do this alone. I mean, we just weren't. We weren't put on this earth to be alone, okay? We were supposed to find somebody to walk this journey together with. And then as families, we weren't put on this earth to do this alone. We can do it alone, Nick, but it is long and hard and filled with a lot of headaches and heartaches. And when we fall, there's no one there to pick us up and support us. And so what we found conclusively, and I could sit here for the rest of the podcast and talk to you about community, but there is such power in community that if you really want to go somewhere, you do it with other people. If you really want to get something done, you involve other people. So why wouldn't we as families want to be on the same journey as other families that are on that journey with us? Why wouldn't we want to reach out and ask questions to other families who are maybe a little ahead of us or experiencing the same things as us? But the truth is, we've never been more connected technologically, but more alone in how we deal with things, because the world looks like everybody has it together. But I'm here to tell you, I've coached thousands of families. I've surveyed thousands of families. I've coached families as I've been in this family space. Every family thinks every other family's got it together. And then when you peel the onion back a couple layers, you realize that we all have challenges. We all have struggles. I don't care if you're in a 500 square foot apartment or a 5,000 square foot home. There's challenges. You've got challenges, and those challenges are easier to deal with when you're in community. So we're doing this free 7-day family challenge as a way of giving families wins. Then we're following that up with doing some live training. My family, okay, Nick, my wife is the host. I'm the one on there talking. We may even have some of our kids on there. And my family is going to do a Thrive Live event. Now, we're probably going to have to do multiple events because it's limited to like 1,000, seats in an online event. We'll do as many as we have to do, but we're going to invite people from the 7-Day Challenge to the Thrive Live events where we're going to talk about how to be a community. We're going to talk about the benefits of being in a community, and we're going to talk about why it's so important that we not only accept the challenge of the 7-Day Challenge, but then learn more about ourselves and where our growth opportunities are, and then how we can make those happen with community. And then following that, we're actually going to make the teaching of Zig Ziglar available through our community called Thrive. And that's where we take, we use the expert wisdom on the challenges, but then we've got Zig Ziglar's, he's 33 books. He sold millions of books. We basically take Zig Ziglar's timeless wisdom with the modern, messy, complicated, chaotic family of today, and we merge those together and create a success path that any family can step on, and we surround them with a community so that they can consistently win, so that they can consistently have the confidence and the clarity they need to be the family that they want to be. And I would tell you probably the two things that really happen from community is we save families time and we deliver trust, because every family out there is out of time. There's not a family I meet that has an abundance of time. Time is the new precious commodity. So if you want to have confidence and clarity as a family, you could spend a year trying to figure it out, or you can be in a community of other families that have been there and done that and give you a shortcut to get some of that time back so that you can be spending quality time with your family instead of chaotic time with your family. And then the other thing is trust. We don't lack information anymore. We lack information we can trust. So those are the two things we're doing at Ziglar Family. We want to give families time back so that they can shortcut the trip to confidence and clarity so that they can then be more intentional with their family. And we want to deliver trusted information so that they don't spend all their time looking for that information. So that was a long answer, but it basically guides you on the path that you would go to community.
Well, absolutely. And another thing about the information and the way that the Thrive community presents it is that it's organized. I mean, sometimes you don't even know what to Google. And I'll tell you, my number one search term for people coming to Confessions of a Terrible Husband, number one search term is "my husband is a moron." I am on the front page. It's one of those, when I was a kid, they'd say, hey, when you look an idiot up in the dictionary, there's a picture of you or whatever. This is the modern day version of that. When you Google "my husband is a moron," I am on the first page of the results. So people are frustrated, and people don't even know what to Google, right? They're Googling "my husband is a moron," thinking they're going to get something useful. Hopefully now that Confessions is up, I am one out of however many million websites, and on the first page, I'm the only website that's actually looking to help. Everyone else is like, "my husband's a moron," "mine too," and it's all just gripe sessions. But people don't even know what to search for. So organizing and presenting information helpful, that's logical, that's progressive, so you can start at the beginning and build to the end with the easy wins, and then as you get more prepared and more aware, you can push yourself along. And just like the 7-Day Challenge, where you have these areas of focus, some people don't even know what areas to focus on. They don't even think physical health has anything to do with relationships. So I want to turn back real quick to the 7-Day Challenge, what it's going to talk about, and before we let you go, so that way people know what they're going to get. What their life looks like now is chaotic. I'm telling you, I walk through the door and there's spaghetti on the ceiling, chicken nuggets on the floor, and this is what my life was before I started being more intentional with relationships. And I got there through community. I got there through challenges. I got there with mentors and guides. So how do they get from this chaos? How is this 7-Day Challenge going to get them from chaos to something better? And what is that place that it's going to take them to?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we all need others. We need guides. I mean, the hero of this story, Nick, is the families. Okay. You want to change the world? All right. Mother Teresa, famous quote she has, you want to change the world, go home and love your family. Okay. Real change, not superficial change. real change happens around the kitchen table, around the family room, around, in a family. And so the challenge though is that I'll give you an example. So today, a real family with real kids took the challenge today. All right. They took the challenge. And one of the things they did as part of the challenge is they did our checkup tool. And that's something that you learn about during the 7-day challenge is a checkup. And it's based on those 7 areas. And they let their kids take the checkup. So the parents took it to see how balanced their family was and where their strengths and weaknesses was. And they had their kids take it. They didn't match at all. The parents thought they were communicating at a 10. And the kids said they were communicating at a 2.
Wow.
And so all of a sudden it developed these amazing conversations that now weren't raised voices and frustration. It was, whoa, wait a minute. You think we're a 2? Talk to us about that. What do you mean? And they're like, well, this and this and this. And they're like, oh my gosh, we never even knew that. So it was like the kids and the parents were speaking foreign languages, and the parents think that they are perfectly speaking it, and the kids aren't receiving any of it. And that's the kind of thing you get. And you, by borrowing the wisdom and learning from the wisdom of these 7 experts, you get to take, Dr. Gary Chapman, I'm going to share with you something. He's 79 years old. He's got wisdom falling off of him, and he's willing to give it into the hearts and homes. Like you, I could have listened to him all day. It was like he was in my family room. And so I got to take the wisdom of this guy and apply it to my family. And Michael and Gail Hyatt, friends of ours, they are so spot on with communication, real intentional communication in day 2. A guy named Josh Axe, who is just a superstar in the healthy living space, talks about 3 key areas of healthy living, that it's not just physical. People think healthy living is running, and exercising, but really it's what you eat, it's the activity level, it's what you put in your mind. That's physical health. And then Tony Dungy comes along and just nails it. People know him as the Super Bowl winning coach. The guy's got 10 kids.
I didn't know he had 10 kids.
Talk about work-life balance. His family was so important to him, and we know how busy his work life was. He breaks it down on what you need to do to have that balance. And then Brian Buffini talks about breaking bread with his family and gives the secret to community inside of a family. And then, of course, Dave Ramsey brings it home, with his delivery of what you need to be financially responsible. And then the children of Zig Ziglar. So you've got 7 of these amazing resources. And the question is not, why would I do the challenge? The question is, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I take 10 minutes a day to be able to shortcut a lot of pain and frustration? So if you're listening out there and you can answer the question, I want my family to be more than it is today. I want my family to do more than we're doing today. I want my family to have more than what we have today. And I want my family to be, do, and have more than what we dreamed, or all the things that we dreamed and envisioned when we decided to start a family. If you can say yes to any part of that, please get involved with the 7-day challenge, because we're going to help you not only get the confidence and clarity you want, but we're going to help you find out what more is for your family. And then Ziglar Family is going to come along as your guide, and we're going to help you get there.
Absolutely. And I always say, imagine, and this is I've taken challenges before. This is by far the one I'm most excited about. First of all, it's 7 days. Anyone has 7 days, literally 7 days, maybe an hour and a half total. If you've watched a movie in the past decade, you can sit and do this and get more entertainment, most likely, and better, better results for your family, much better than just an afternoon of enjoyment. And if I could get in the room with 8 people, and the first question I asked was someone I trusted really well, and I said, hey, what do I need to know to have a happy family? And they said, what's the best piece of advice? And their advice would be, follow these 7 principles, incorporate these 7 things into your life, and you'll thrive. I would pay a lot of money for just that one question. And then if I said to the leader in each of those 7 areas, 10 minutes, can you sum up what I need to do to get started in each of these areas? I would pay a lot of money to be able to call up Gary Chapman and say, hey, what's the one thing I need to do today to get my marriage on track or to get my family on track? If I could call up Dave Ramsey and say, hey, what's the one thing I need to do to get my finances in order. If I could call up Tony Dungy and say, hey, I realize you didn't win as many Super Bowls as Bill Belichick. I'm a Patriots fan. I got to give that dig. But you managed a football team at home, 11 people, including your spouse, and you, 12, right? And you, to coach in the NFL at any level, even just to make it to the NFL, you need to be dedicated from a time perspective. But to be able to do that, have a great family, and be so successful, what can I do to have that work-life integration, work-life balance? I would pay a lot of money for that. You asked those questions, you at Ziglar Family, you and you, Mark, right? And they let you videotape it and send it to everybody by email for free. That's pretty incredible.
And here's the cool thing. You and I didn't even talk about this. When we asked them to do the video, because we knew we had to really we knew families don't have time. So when we asked them and they said, well, what do you want us to talk about? We literally used the words you were saying. What's the one thing? What is the one thing? If you could just tell families one thing, if you could challenge them on one thing, what is that one thing? And so most of the challenges are literally one thing. A couple people did 3, but some people just did one thing. This is my one thing. My whole life's work, this is the one thing. So it makes it so easy to digest and easy to act on. Because Mr. Ziglar used to say all the time, you know how you get to step 2? You first got to take step 1. And a lot of families see step 2. They know where they want their family to be. They know the dream they had for their family. They just can't take step 1 to get there. This is step 1. And for some families, it's going to be a huge step that they'll never step back from. It will get them going and create a week of wins that they'll look back and say, man, we just needed that shot in the arm. We just needed Gary Chapman to be in our living room for 10 minutes. We just needed, Tony Dungy in our living room for 10 minutes. And you're right, it's 10 minutes a day. That's all we're asking for. Well,
I appreciate that. And those are great words to let you get back to your busy day. This is launch day. I am honored that you're taking a few minutes to spend it with our listeners here. And maybe we'll even put this on video up on YouTube because we're recording it here. And I do love that in the background, something you were saying was pretty great. And then I have a poster up here that from a event that I hosted, and it just fell down. Like the world was being rocked as we spoke.
Blew the windows out.
Yeah, that's right. So I love this. We'll get this up on YouTube. We'll have some fun with it. And I appreciate your time. For those who are listening, join me. I'll be taking the challenge. I'll be posting audio only podcasts every day this week. If you're listening, if you're just catching up, they'll be up there evergreen forever. So when you're signing up for Ziglar Family Challenge, you can follow along with me at any time. Head on over to aterriblehusband.com/Ziglar Challenge, Ziglar Challenge. That'll bring you right there to sign up. You just need an email address and an open mind. Anything else you want to share with the audience?
No, I can't wait to see them there. I got to tell you, I can't really spoil things, but I can tell you if they sign up, they will be taking the challenge with tens of thousands, not hundreds, not thousands, tens of thousands. In fact, with the way things are going right now, it could end up being in the hundreds of thousands before it's over. So talk about joining a community. How powerful would it be if every family took this challenge and decided to be, do, and have more and get the confidence and clarity that they want? So join the challenge. I look forward to seeing you inside the community.
Amen. All right. Thanks.